What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Art Shack. So today I'm actually going to be doing something that was heavily requested. I think it was requested in almost every one of my tree videos, and that is how to draw a weeping willow tree. I gotta say, this one was probably one of the more difficult trees that I've drawn, and for good reason too. It has a lot of detail to it, but not to say that it was boring at all. I had quite a bit of a good time drawing this one, but it was quite a bit of a challenge, so I decided to make this video a little bit longer, around 20 minutes. That way I can actually show you in relatively good detail of what is actually going on. So hopefully you enjoy this one. So in the beginning stages of this one, I started drawing the trunk of the tree, but then I quickly realized that I wasn't going to be able to do this like I normally draw, the whole skeleton of the tree, just because every reference that I saw, you just couldn't see it at all. It was almost non-existent. So what I ended up doing was just drawing the outline of the tree, and as you can see, what I have here, it really looks like a weeping willow tree, just from the sketch. So that's what I initially started with to create the image, and I really darkened in the sketch, that way you can really see what the framework of the tree was going to look like. But as I started drawing, every time I drew in a section, I erased out that line completely, just because of how lightly I was going to draw in the highlights. I was using a 4H pencil for the highlights, which honestly I almost never use a 4H pencil for drawing in anything, so it was pretty rare, but I really wanted to make those highlights really stand out. And for the more shadowed portions of the tree, I was using more of a B to HB pencil. I didn't want to go too dark, but at the end of the video, I ended up using a 4B pencil just to darken in several key areas, but I don't have to worry about that too much for now. Just keep in mind that if you don't have a sharp-tipped eraser, or in this case I was using the Tough Stuff eraser stick, make sure you have some sort of eraser that has a really nice edge to it, just because I think you're going to really end up needing it. I certainly did. But if you have one of those pink pearl erasers, those usually have a pretty good edge on them, and you can really use those to your advantage, just because I used the eraser so much in this one. I think I'm almost out of that eraser I have, just because of all the highlights added into this one. I really want to make this one look like it was just sitting and baking in the sun. So I really put in a lot of effort to make it look like it was doing that. While I was drawing these trees in, I really couldn't help but notice how much they really looked like a waterfall. And it's just because of how the tree was flowing. I mean, all the leaves were just falling, essentially. And it really looked like a waterfall to me. So as I was drawing this, I kept thinking to myself how a waterfall pretty much looks. And I have a couple videos on my channel with drawing in waterfalls. I did one a few weeks ago that I did, and you can definitely use that one as a reference, because I think it'll help, honestly, looking at a waterfall for reference on how to draw this, because it's honestly, it looks almost exactly the same. There's a lot more texture within the tree than there is on the waterfall, though, but with the shadowing and the highlights and everything, it looks very, very similar. So as I was drawing this in, I used the 4H pencil, and I worked that detail down to the next portion of the tree, the next highlighted section. And as I got closer towards the next highlighted section, I really start to darken up that tree. I just wanted to make a lot of contrast between one section of the tree and the other. That way everything could really stand out and pop at the end. If there's one thing I can suggest to those of you that are really looking to draw this one, I would really suggest looking at some references, because I certainly had to. Just because I've really never drawn a weeping willow tree ever, and there are so many different types of weeping willow trees. I mean, just the way that they look, it's pretty. I was pretty shocked with how many there are, and just how different every one of them is, and I had to look at quite a few of them to really get an idea of how to really attempt drawing it. And I actually did a quick sketch before I did this video, just to see if I could actually pull it off, just because, I mean, there's quite a bit of detail to it, but there's also a lot of the photos, I mean, a lot of them are so different, and to go along with that, a lot of them had like a different characteristic to it. And even within every different section of the tree, there's a different characteristic. The section I'm drawing in right now was a little bit more crazy looking than the rest of the tree. It had a lot of branches and stuff going in all different directions, so I guess it was kind of like the crazy branch of the tree. But I mean, there's other sections of the tree that are really like elegant looking, other sections of the tree that are, you know, just they really flow, like the branches really flow down really far. So I mean, it's really different throughout the whole tree, and honestly I think that's what really gave me interest throughout most of this drawing, was just how much variety there is within the single tree. I really did enjoy drawing it. Just as a side note, if you can, I'd recommend probably full screening this video, just so you can really get a good idea of what is going on. And I also zoomed in a little bit on the video on this part of the tree. That way you can really get an idea of what is happening with the details of the tree. Just because there are quite a bit, but it's a lot of repetitive details. So once you kind of get the idea down, it's a lot of just repeating that same detail for a lot of other portions of the tree, and it really does come together at the end. But one thing I had to do was, in each of these sections of the tree, it's kind of like its own world. And as I was drawing it in, I felt as if one part of the tree almost didn't belong with the other part of the tree. So what I had to do was sort of carry sections of the tree from one area to the other. As in, sections of the upper tree, I end up carrying branches down into the other portions of the tree, just to kind of make it look like it's, you know, everything belongs with one another. I think one of the biggest things that I actually learned while drawing this is I really had to be loose with the drawing. And it really helped me to do that, because as I kept looking at the reference and my drawing, I kept realizing that I had to change certain things to really mimic what was going on in the reference image. And but keep in mind though that I did not copy the reference like word for word. You know, let's say I didn't copy detail for detail, but I added in or altered certain sections of the image just to kind of make it my own in the end. That's typically what I like to do, is just have a reference image, but I like to use it as guidance more than like a rule book, let's say, or a set of instructions. I like to use it just to guide me in the general direction, just so that way I'm not constrained by every single detail within a drawing or within the image. I can kind of just take it loosely and incorporate it the way that I want to see it done on the page. And I think that's what really really makes me excited about drawing. It's just that because I know that I can change whatever I want and kind of make it my own in the end. So that's what I really enjoy about it. But also with this, like I said, you want to keep it loose. You want to alter the shape and the length of these different branches and leaves. Some of them really hang down really far, and much farther than other ones. Some of them are really short. So it's really, it was really a challenge to really capture the essence of this tree. I also kind of find it a little bit funny how every time I end up drawing a tree, I attempt every one of them a little bit differently, especially the different types of trees. As I draw like a pine tree in, I start with very, very small details and kind of work my way down the tree. If I was drawing like a typical like oak tree or something along those lines, I would start with the stump of the tree and draw the entire framework of the tree, and then start with the leaves and kind of build up those bushels and really make it look volumetric and dimensional. But with this one, I just kind of hinted at the trunk of the tree and some of the branches, and then I just went all out and went fully into it. Just with all the details of the tree, because like I said, I was looking at the reference, and you don't see many branches at all, if not any. I guess depending upon what reference you look at, but the one I was looking at, you couldn't see any of the tree branches at all. So I was just like, well, instead of guessing where these tree branches are going, might as well just get the quick sketch going and really get a good leap on what is going on here. But it was a little bit tricky though, because doing that it can sometimes be a little bit difficult, because when you have the whole framework of the tree done and ready to go, you can really sort of tell where the leaves and everything are supposed to be. And if you have a really thick section of branches, you can kind of tell where there's going to be a lot of thick leaves. So with this, it was a little bit difficult to tell where everything was going to be, but luckily the reference image really helped out, and that sketch that I made in the very beginning of this video where I had the outline of the entire tree, that really helped a lot. Every like half arc line that I made, that was like my indication of knowing where the highlight was. Every one of those arcs was where a highlight was going to be. That was going to be like a major section of the tree, and then anything beneath that was going to be the falling sections of those leaves, and then eventually getting into the shadows. But it was just, I had to work around that, and it took me a little bit to kind of get over not having a framework of the tree. But once I kind of got myself started, everything really started to fall into place. You guys that are watching this may not have an issue with that, but it all just depends on what you're used to drawing. I'm used to having a bit more of a framework, or I guess a sketch, just to guide me. If I have a basic sketch of everything that's going to be on the page, or at least have a basic idea of where things are going to be and where the highlights and shadows are going to be, I'm much better off. So this one was a little bit different for me, but I think I pulled it off really nicely in the end, because I was pretty pleased with how this one came out. Just another side note, we want to make sure that all the details that you end up drawing in this, you want to preserve them. So, and constantly using the eraser, you make a lot of eraser shavings in this one. I had a lot, and you'll constantly see me using the fan brush to clean them away. That really helps a lot, just because sometimes when you use your hand to brush things away, you can get a lot of smudges on your page. So you just want to be careful of that. Really careful of that, because with the amount of detail that is being added on here, the chance of smudging is relatively high. And even without, or even with using the paintbrush, I still was smudging certain sections here and there. But luckily, the eraser I have works really well, so I was able to kind of clean up certain areas. So it worked out really well in the end. So just keep in mind, most of this drawing, for the most part, it was just a lot of using the HB and the B pencil for the shadows, and then using a combination of the 4H and the 2H for the highlights. But mostly it was the 4H, and I ended up using a lot of the eraser to really add in those highlights. But it's quite a bit of that. So I'm going to let the video play out for a little while, and I'll come back in a little bit and explain a little bit further about some of the later parts of this image. Alright everyone, so I know I covered quite a bit within that small section of video there, but I'll quickly recap what happened. So I finished up the rest of the tree, and I also put in the stump of the tree and the branches very in the end, and I'm still working on them a little bit right now. I want to make those really dark, just because they're in so much shadow, just because how thick all those leaves are. But I finished up the rest of that tree within that section. And a lot of it, like I said, is just a lot of erasing and going back in and adding a lot of those shadows again. And as I finished up that tree, I was going to call it done. But I'm just looking at it, I'm just like, it doesn't look done yet. There's just something missing. And I started adding in a foreground, and this was like an hour after I finished the tree. I was just like, I need to add in a foreground or something. And so I drew in a guideline of the shape of the land I was going to do, and I decided to add in a rock or something, just to kind of try different things out. And I'm like, all right, let's just draw in some thick grass, because I really like drawing in thick grass in the base of the trees. I just think it really ties us up really together. So with this, I used I believe it was a B pencil. It was somewhere in the B to HB range for a lot of the grass, especially the grass underneath the tree. Later on, you'll start to see me really darken in the grass that's underneath the tree, just to really show that there's a lot of shadow going on. But I have a whole tutorial on grass that I did, and it's actually one of my more popular videos, surprisingly. Of all the topics I can come up with, drawing grass, that's one of my more popular topics that I've covered this year. So I'll definitely be linking to that one at the end of this video if you need a hand with doing that. But I'll give you the basics of it. So I tend to draw my grass at a slight angle, at a slight arc. And I'll usually press down pretty hard on the pencil in the beginning and then kind of flick it up. So there's a lot of that. And then I take the eraser and kind of do the same thing. When you do it with the eraser as well, it helps to build depth within the grass, really help to make it look like you can sort of brush your hand in it, sort of. That's the way I really like to draw them in. So there's quite a bit of that. Also, let's say if you kind of draw on your grass and it's not particularly dark enough, here's something I normally suggest. Well, first off, if you drew the grass in like a 2B pencil, let's say, take a 4H or a 2H pencil and just shade over that entire thing. It's like trying to mix oil and water, as in they really don't mix at all. So when you take that 4H pencil or 2H pencil and shade over that area, it'll leave all that detail intact. It won't touch it at all, which is pretty amazing, especially if you just want to darken in a section of the drawing. All you gotta do is take that pencil and just shade over it and just darkens it. So I added in a lot of the grass texture all over the bottom of the page here, and I was pretty careful around the outer edges of the page. I want to really significantly lighten up the grass so that it wasn't as dark, and you'll constantly see me go back in underneath the tree and really darken in that grass, and you really start to see like it takes shape with that shadow. And I just want to leave you off with that. But if you enjoyed this one, please give me a thumbs up. It really does help out. And also subscribe. I'm releasing videos at least every week, so you can always look forward to that. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you all later. Take care.